Your report at Afinvest for 2018, well, last year was quite good, very, very voluminous. And do you think with what we're seeing now, we're a bit on a trajectory, despite that fine line at the bottom that says, look, we will have a bit of a pressure when political engineering and politicking begins to take more shape and become more hotly contested in the run-up to next first quarter 2019?
Well, we still remain optimistic. The report you're referring to, our 2017 banking sector report, which we launched at the London Stock Exchange, titled Nigeria is Open for Business. And it truly is. I mean, in terms of looking at foreign inflows that have come into the country, remained upbeat and continue to improve. In 2018 as well, Q1 and Q2, we've also seen these foreign inflows remain at high levels. We expect sentiment to remain positive, although we know that a possible downside risk is tied to the political uncertainty as general elections draw closer. But we don't really expect this to crystallize until later in the year, probably closer to the end of the third quarter of 2018 or Q4 of 2018. But regardless, we still remain optimistic on performance of companies and the broader performance of the economy.
If you're going to make money, you got to make it now.
Well, for investors who have a more short-term investment horizon, we would recommend that they come in now and look towards exiting closer to the third quarter or fourth quarter.
So my outlook should be a bit of a short.
Like I said, it depends on sort of investment or horizon you're looking at. If you're a long-term investor, there's still a lot of value right there in Nigerian markets. Like I mentioned, comparing with peers, you can see that Nigerian equities still remain somewhat undervalued. If you look at their performance relative to how they're valued, relative to peers, you can still see there's still value there for investors. So for an investor who has a long-term investment horizon, they're fundamentally sound stocks right there in the market that you can take position in.
So if Dangote Cement is going to London Stock Exchange 2 years, well, technically the year 2020, I should be getting ready for that. Yesterday, I got a full folks asking me, how do I get into the MTN offering? And I said, well, the offering hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, so it shows that there's a lot of interest.
I said, hey, boss, are you aware of this? And I said, yes, I'm aware. How do I get into this MTN? This is not an advertorial for we don't have the volume, we don't have the price and valuation yet. But folks are starting to ask questions, which means that Nigerians have not just a short, but medium to long term on these big names. If MTN is coming with about $500 million, and Dangote Cement is looking at $500 million, I might just put some dollars aside for Dangote Cement for the next London IPO. Maybe I should be thinking about that. Are you thinking in that direction?
Well, I mean, with these listings that are coming in, definitely a lot of investors are going to be looking to take position in these companies. Like I mentioned, historically, they've demonstrated their resilience, churning out impressive performances, and we only expect this to continue going forward, which is why we're seeing a lot of interest in these instruments. So definitely, we'll be looking into taking position right there.
At the end of it all, where do you think my play field should be? More of equities, less of fixed income, as fixed income begin to trend towards single digits, and we saw that this week with one of the papers maturing, Treasury bills at about 9%.
Well, for us, what we would recommend is some sort of balanced approach, balanced play between equities and fixed income. So for fixed income, to hedge your risks from equities that you could potentially have. Yes, you might get lower returns from fixed income markets, but your capital preservation is assured. With the equities, there's also the downside risk that you might end up losing some money. But again, like I mentioned, in terms of valuation, there's still opportunities to take advantage of in the market, especially considering the fact that in February and March, we saw a slowdown in market performance, which drove prices of some of the stocks down to attractive entry
Where would
levels.
the catalyst be? I'm looking for something to give me a runaway. just give me a jump on the all-share index, maybe back to 45,000.
I mean, currently looking at market performance, we might not see the sort of gains that we saw in 2017, but we still remain optimistic on performance. Like I mentioned, with improvements in macroeconomic indicators, stability in the FX markets, rising oil prices, and all this.
Whatever you analysts say,
to a positive performance.
At the end of the day, you analysts are always optimistic. Whatever the downside is, you always say, we remain optimistic.
I mean, you have to remain hopeful on performance.
That's a handshake for some optimism from Eromosele Ziba, who is one of the investment analysts at Afrinvest. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll keep an eye on Dangote Cement's $500 million. That's a lot of money. We can wait 2 years, can't we? Yes, we can. Let's wait for 2 minutes. We'll be right back here on Business Morning.